Today on Passion for Food, we are grilling out for Memorial Day with the steak and pineapple shish kebabs and grilled corn. So let's go ahead and get our grill on. First of all here, let me show you the easiest way to cut up your own pineapple. We're just going to go off with the bottom and top. And then we just want to split it in half along the core there. You can see that little circle in the middle. That's too tough. We don't want to eat that. And then we just do the same thing again. You can see that core. We just want to split that as evenly in half as we can. And then we just slice that little segment of core off with our knife. And we are just going to go in half once again. And here's where we're going to create the actual pineapple slices. We just want to carefully slice down the length of it like this. Be careful not to pierce the skin or it will fall apart on you. And then all you do is turn it upright and just slice down along the skin and you'll get all these perfect little chunks of pineapple. You can make these pieces as big or small as you want. I'm going fairly big here because I'm going to be using this for our shish kebabs. And it's that simple. Just repeat that for the rest of the pineapple. Buying whole pineapples tend to be fresher and definitely less expensive, so I always like to go this route. I'm going to put together a real quick marinade for our steak here. I have this fresh thyme here from my garden, which I thought would be perfect for this. I'm not really interested in the stem, so just start near the top and just pull all those little leaves off. They come off very, very easily. And I'm just going to give that a rough chop with my knife real quick and get it into our marinade bowl. Once we're done with that, it's time to have a smashing good time with our garlic. We're just going to give our garlic a good smashing on the board, kind of stacking it up together so it's a little faster to chop. And into the bowl we go. In addition here, I had some imported white truffle olive oil from Italy that I'm going to add in here. About a quarter cup of that. Regular olive oil would be fine. Along with about a teaspoon of red pepper flakes for a little bit of heat. And of course some ground pepper to taste. Along with about a tablespoon and a half of regular full sodium soy sauce. Don't go with the light stuff here. About a tablespoon of sugar, and about a teaspoon of extra salt because I'm using quite a lot of meat here. And finally the juice of about 1 lemon. This is about a quarter of a cup. And we just want to give that a quick mix and we're ready for the meat. And for our meat today, I'm going to be using 3 T-bone steaks. You can use pretty much whatever kind of steak you want or other tender cuts of meat, be it beef or otherwise. T-bones have a lot of flavor, but they're not necessarily ideal for this because of that awkward bone shape that's in there. I'm going to have to cut around that to create my shish kebab pieces, but that's all right. You can often see natural separations in the muscle where it's obvious there are different groups, so you want to kind of cut those off so that they will stay on the shish kebab nicely for you. So I'm going to cut this off the bone and then cut into shish kebabable size pieces. You can go kind of small or kind of big here as you want. Just try and keep them all even. You want these all the same size. And I can definitely see why they call these T-bones. And I pity the fool who messes with these steaks. I don't like a ton of fat on mine, so I'm going to trim off a lot of that as I go. But if you like that, you're perfectly free to just leave that there. I'll show you what I mean here about the muscle separation. You see there, it's obviously 2 little muscles, so I'm going to go ahead and cut there, and that's going to be basically the template for the sizes I'm going for. You see that? So I'm going to trim off any additional fat that I don't want, and I'm just going to aim to have everything be about that size. So let's just zoom through the rest of this and get it into our bowl. And as I was saying, other meats would also work well here. Things like boneless, skinless chicken thighs, chicken breasts, pork loin, and many other things. One thing I would be cautious of are things like shrimp and fish. Shrimp cook very, very quickly, so you're going to have cooked shrimp and raw everything else. Anyway, once we're done with that, everything's in the bowl and we just want to give it a really thorough mixing with our hands to get it thoroughly combined. What I like to do is make this before I actually light the grill, cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit. The hour or so it takes for the grill to be ready to go is the perfect amount of marination for this cut of meat. So while our grill is lighting and our meat is marinating, let me show you how to deal with our corn. We want to try and split these husks as evenly in half as we can, leaving them intact and just pulling out all of that corn silk. Don't pull the husks all the way off, that's critical. We're going to need those later. And it's on to our garlic herb butter. So here we have about 4 tablespoons of softened salted butter. To that I'm going to add about a quarter a cup of Parmesan cheese, along with about a teaspoon of dill, about a teaspoon of garlic powder, along with some fresh cracked pepper to taste. You could use a spoon to mix this, but considering I'm about to get my hands dirty anyway, and it's way quicker and easier this way, I'm just going to go in with my fingers and get that all mixed together. And the reason we went with softened butter instead of melted butter here is I want it to be solid so that I can actually smear it onto the corn and it will stay put. So we just want to get this herb butter smeared onto our corn pretty much all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little bit fun wrestling with the husks as you're trying to get that herb butter in there, but keep at it, it's worth it. I discovered about halfway through it's much easier if you just leave the corn on the board and smear your butter in, so that's the direction I would recommend you head with that. And once we're done smearing our corn, I'm just going to tie up the ends here to keep the husks together as they're cooking. That will help keep our herb butter in place and will also allow the corn to steam on the grill. I'm not looking for char on the actual kernels here with this particular method. Once you have them tied off, you do want to cut off the excess string, just one less thing to catch fire on the grill. And then our corn is set. Let's go ahead and get our shish kebabs together here. I'm going to be going with a large bell pepper and a medium onion to go with our steak and pineapple. I'm just going to give these a rough chop, aiming for pieces around the same size as the meat, although it's not all that super critical. With a small onion like this, I think it's actually useful just to cut it into quarters, and then you get those nice curved pieces that you can put on there. Alright, so let's get all of our actors together, our pineapple and our marinated steak, and let's go ahead and shish our kebabs. Personally, I really like these reusable metal skewers. They're squared off, so it actually makes it easier to turn the kebabs on the grill. I generally like to start the kebab with a piece of vegetable that's nice and sturdy to keep things in place so things don't slide around on me. And you may notice as I put these on here that when I put on the meat, I have quite large slices of meat, so I'm not making a single skewer with the kebab. I'm actually doing 2 with the meat, making them kind of little curves like that. The order doesn't particularly matter. I just go meat, vegetable, pineapple, whatever makes you happy. And once we're done with all of those, it's time for the grill. So let's head out there and get our kebabs and corn going. Make sure your grill is preheated and ready to go, and I like to spray on a little oil here, fireworks notwithstanding, that's fine. And then it's on with our kebabs. I suggest layering your kebabs in the hottest part of the grill. We really want to get a nice sear on those meat and vegetables. Because of the nature of the kebab, you can actually put them pretty close together. There's plenty of room for air to move in between them and get that sear going, so don't worry, it doesn't need to be perfect. And we'll go around with our corn, just fitting it in wherever there's some heat to be had. Although the way this one wound up, we got a bit of a corn wall around our kebabs. A bit corny, I know. Anyway, we want to give this about 5 minutes on one side before we check it and try and give it a flip. I had to move some corn out of my way and back again, but do what you gotta do. And after a couple of more minutes, give your corn a flip. You can see those husks are getting nicely charred. And after about another 5 minutes, I gave these a check and they were looking good to me. I was going for medium well on this. If you wanted well done, you could probably go another 5 minutes. But you can see the lovely char we have on this, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these off and give the corn just another couple of minutes. Now that our kebabs are off, I can pull the corn to the middle of the grill just for the final couple minutes of cooking. After about 2 minutes, I was happy with that, so let's pull them off and get this plated up. And that's it, our grilled kebabs and corn are ready. Let's go in for a quick taste. Our steak has a wonderfully robust, garlicky flavor from that marinade, and as you can hopefully see here, we got that perfect medium well with just that little touch of pink on the inside and a nice sear on the outside. And the herb butter we put on the corn has stayed in place. You can see it in the kernels there, and the corn is tender and super sweet. These kebabs and grilled corn have really come out great, and I hope you try them soon. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please give me a thumbs up below and consider subscribing for updates on our weekly videos. This has been Graham with Passion for Food.